And just please feel free, relax, and enjoy the session, enjoy the learning. And you can unmute, you can put in the chat to interact with me, right? Let the energy flow in the room, right? Yeah. I don't know whether you joined the masterclass yesterday afternoon. I was actually the host for the masterclass from the trainers from Coach Master Academy, right? Yeah, so I'm excited to see participants joining. Keep joining us. All right. Okay, let me start sharing the slides. All right. So, yeah, maybe you can do a quick emoticon. Yes, thanks, Atika. Yeah, you can do a emoticon, a smile here, to interact with me. Right. Okay, thank you. Asmir, thank you. Faiz, thank you. Thank you. Rona, thank you. Yeah, excited. Yes, keep the energy flow. Okay, let me share my slides here. All right. Okay. Can you see the slides? Is it all good? Okay. Oh, yeah, so today's topic is design thinking and its practicality to project implementation. I always like this music. This music reminds me of the older days when I learned NLP. Life is beautiful. It's an anchor music to spur the energy. All right. Okay, so I would like to start with this uh, gentleman. I believe everybody knows who is he, right? And this quote from him. If I had an hour to solve a problem, I would spend 55 minutes to think about the problem and 5 minutes to think about the solution. This is from Albert Einstein. And if you look at the right hand side here, he says we can't solve problems by using the same kind of thinking, the same thought process we use when we created them, right? So, ladies and gentlemen, what I want to share with you here is it is actually a paradigm shift. If you studied Stephen Covey's 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, there's a diagram of see, do, get cycle. If you remember the see, do, get cycle, it started with the see, right? The first step is see. How do we see things differently? It is a paradigm shift, right? So next, wow, this is not a quiz, no worry. Now, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to run a polling, a quick polling of 3 questions. It's basically yes and no, right? To understand our participants here on these 3 questions, right? Okay, let me stop sharing for a while and I'll run the poll right now. Give me a second, please. Okay, do you see the poll? So there are 3 questions here. The first question, do you have urgent burning pain points to solve for your customers? The second question is, are these pain points related to your company aspirations or vision? And the third question, are these pain points either volatile, complex, uncertain, and ambiguous? Share with me your thoughts. Yeah, thank you. I saw 4 completed, 11 in progress, 13 not yet started. So we have 27, 28 participants here today. Okay, see 7 in progress, 11 completed, 10 not yet started. Okay, good. 16 completed, 3 in progress. All right. Okay, last call before I close the poll. Okay, I'm going to close the poll and show you the result of our participants for today mini class. Right, what is the state, the current state right now? Okay, poll is calling in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All right. Let me show you the poll result. Can you see a poll result? Right. So if you look at the poll result, do you have urgent burning pain points for customers? So we can see 54%, more than 50% of the participants say yes. Are these pain points related to your company aspiration or vision? Also 50% of you say yes. Well, this is great. And are these pain points either volatile, uncertain, ambiguous, and complex? Also 50%. You are in the right place. And I'm very excited to have you with me today in this learning session. All right. Let me continue my sharing. Okay. All right. Next. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this is a statistics or research conducted and shows that design thinking actually improves organizational culture. If you can look at the top values here, what is the value of design thinking? It actually helps you to improve our working culture. So you'll be wondering, today you're talking about the relationship of design thinking with project implementation. And the research shows that the top values of design thinking is to improve our working culture. I'll relate to this in the subsequent slides, and you'll understand why this is important. The culture is an anchor, the culture is an enabler for us to open up our mind, to have a psychological safety space to spur ideas, to spur innovation. That's why it is so important to have a psychological safe culture in order to apply design thinking. And the second values here, as you can see here, design thinking makes our innovation process more efficient. Right? Let me go next and show you. Now, this slide is talking about design thinking accelerate thought leadership. What is the key point here is thought leadership. If you compare between the design-led companies and non-design-led companies, it is clearly shown that a design-led companies, what is meant by design-led companies? A design-led company means a company with the design thinking culture, with the design thinking capability, will have better emotional bonding with your customers. You spend more research on innovation over your competitors. You have a strong branding on your existence so that you can stay competitive and relevant in this VUCA world. Right. Now, next. This is a very interesting question we ask. What is the big why? Today we are talking about the why, the purpose for us. So what is the big why for the organization? It is to internalize the global on-demand competencies as an enabler for your company aspiration. Do you know that design thinking is one of the top 10 skill sets of 2025 by World Economic Forum, WEF, right? So over here, the first point I would like to share with you is it will strengthen the value creation towards the company aspiration. That's why in the first poll just now, you see the second question, are these burning pain points of a customer relate to your company aspiration and vision? That's very important. Now, the second point is it is going to deliver extraordinary user experience through human-centric solutioning. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this is very important. The keyword is user experience. Design thinking is a customer-centric approach. You are focused on your customers. You are delivering values to your customers. So it is very important to anchor on the user experience. And last but not least, what is the end in mind? The end in mind is always the dollar and cents. So you want to excite greater shareholder values return through innovative problem solving. Next slide. I want to share with you. Then you ask a question. This is for the company. This is for the organization. What is that for me? What is it for me, right? It is to upscale the global on-demand competency for your career advancement. As today's we are moving into VUCA world, we need to learn the global on-demand competencies through practical application to stay relevant, to stay exist in your company, to move up your career ladder. And with the design thinking, you actually changing your mindset. You have a different mindset. And from the mindset, you connect to the attitudes and the new behaviors. So what we want to see is actually a behavior shift in ourselves when we apply the design thinking capabilities, when we apply the design thinking skill sets, because it starts with the mind changes. It starts with the first thing where Albert Einstein says you need to see things differently. We cannot solve the problem with the way we created them. And last but not least, you are getting ready for your career advancement. Now, this is one ideal design thinking. If you know design thinking, you should talk about these two thinking. One is called divergent thinking, one is called convergent thinking. As you can see, the arrow is moving, is wide, moving wide, is open. That is called divergent, right? This is divergent thinking. And when the arrow is moving inwards, this is convergent thinking. So in design thinking, we actually focus on divergent thinking. You want to create possibilities. You want to create choices. You want to create options for us to explore. And we have curiosity, exploratory mindset, beginner mindset to explore choices to solve problems for our customers. That's why if you look at the right side, we are talking about three main pillars or three main parameters, three main attributes. The first attribute is always customer desirability. What is the needs of the customers? What they really needs? The second one is talking about technical feasibility, right? Whether technically sound, you can use your technical skill to solve the problem of the customers. And the third one is about dollar and cent. It's about commercial viability. So when you look at design thinking, you are actually assessing the problem from the three angles. One is the customer desirability. That's the first thing first. The second one is your technical feasibility. And third one is the commercial viability. Whether there is a market needs, whether there's a market demands for this problem, whether the problem is scalable enough for you to solve. It is worthwhile enough for you to solve. Next, right? I'm going to show you a simple video by Mark Spencer, by John Spencer, to explain what is divergent thinking. Enjoy the video, ladies and gentlemen.
Imagine you have a problem that you need to solve, and you're looking for innovative solutions. In this moment, there's a good chance you'll choose one of two cognitive approaches. In 1956, the psychologist J.P. Guilford coined the terms convergent thinking and divergent thinking to describe these two contrasting approaches. Is linear and systematic, while divergent thinking is more web-like, focusing on the connections between ideas. Convergent thinking solution. On the other hand, divergent thinking expands outward by generating multiple ideas, often thinking like a hacker and using materials in original ways. Here you treat barriers as design opportunities. Convergent thinking tends to be more focused, while divergent thinking is more flexible and iterative. Convergent thinking is analytical and focused on what's best. By contrast, divergent thinking is more open-ended, and participants are encouraged here to take creative risks, even if some of the ideas might not work. Convergent thinking asks why. Divergent thinking asks why not. Now, it may seem like these two approaches are competitive, but they actually go hand in hand. Often teams will use divergent thinking to generate multiple ideas, followed by convergent thinking to analyze and narrow down the ideas. And then later you'll use divergent thinking to come up with fresh perspectives, followed by convergent thinking yet again in this ongoing cycle. Both are necessary.
All right. Okay, I would like to pause for a while and invite the participants to share your thoughts. What are the insights you gather from this video by John Spencer? Anybody, you can unmute your mic or you can put in the chat, interact with us, right? If you are shy, you can put in the chat. Or what are the insights or what is the new learning after you view the video of John Spencer to understand the connectivity between divergent thinking and convergent thinking? And he says both are necessary, right? They are not competitive. They complement each other. You start with divergent thinking, then after that you converge towards solutions, right? So first of all, you explore. So again, you look at my hands, it's opening up for possibilities. And after that, you converge to a particular solutions, to a particular idea, then you go and test it, go and validate it, right? So I'm happy to hear insights. If you have experience in design thinking before, happy to learn from you. This is a learning session. This is not a downloading session. So I really love to hear the insight from the participants. Anybody want to unmute, just feel free to unmute and interact with us. We are learning from each other. Or you can put in a chat to interact with us. What is your thoughts? What is your thought process in this moment when you look at this video after watching this short video clips of less than 3 minutes? Anybody? Anyone? Oops. Anyone have any thoughts? Okay, no worry. Let me continue. Never mind. If you have any question, you can put in the chat, and I'll try my best to answer, to respond on my thoughts later. Right? Okay, let me continue this. Okay, let's go next. All right. Now, what is design thinking? Design thinking basically there are 5 stages in design thinking. And what is design thinking? Design thinking is a thought process. Again, I would like to say design thinking is actually a thought process. And if you look at this diagram, what comes up in your mind right now? Anybody? You can put in the chat. Look at this diagram. What comes up in your mind right now? What is this symbol? What is this symbol? It looks like what? Yeah, you can unmute and interact with us. What is this symbol? Infinity. Thank you very much, Desmond. Yeah, infinity. You're right, infinity. I like it. Yeah, isn't it? It's an infinity. Now, why? Why it is labeled as infinity? Right? Why is labeled as infinity? Anybody have any thoughts? Why is labeled in infinity? You look at this infinity, right? Yeah, it's infinity in maths, right? So
I think
it's
hi.
what? Hi, yes. Who is this?
This is May.
Hi, May. Thank you, thank you. Yeah, lovely. Yes, hi, May. Yes.
My thought is it designed as infinity because this framework actually is continuously like exploring, and you get ideas, then you converge, you see which one is the top value added to solve the problem. There's no ending. It's continuing to improve and improve on the solution.
Thank you, May. Yes, I think I saw Suhaidi. Is it Suhaidi also mentioned? It's improvement, continuous improvement. Thank you very much. I love this thought. Yes, it is continuous improvement. And it is like going again and again, like infinite loop, right? But there is an exit point. And when you're going to exit, it depends on you, on ourselves, when you assess the customer value propositions. Whether it aligns with the problem that we want to solve for our customers, right? So where does it start? So you look at this, you have 5 phases: empathize, define, test, ideate, prototype. Anybody want to do a guess? Where's the starting point? What is the first phase? What's the first phase among these five? Is it empathize, ideate, define, test, or prototype? Yes, empathize. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I saw a response coming in. Lovely, lovely. Yes, it's like empathize. So what is empathize? Empathize is to understand the problem of customers. Empathize simply means we put ourselves in customer shoes, right? So you want to understand what customer is facing. What is the burning pain point? Is it an urgent pain points that you have to solve? And does this pain point actually carry a heavy commercial values, commercial impact to your customers? That is what we want to do during empathize stage. Later, I'll share with you. There's a tools, a simple tools that you can use to run empathize stage, right? And then the second stage. What is second stage? Second stage is define. So you can see the arrow is moving down, right? Right? Yeah, so from blue, we go to green. So define. What is define? Define is you want to define the right problem for you to solve. Or you want to define the right sub-problem you want to solve. Why is it important? So in the empathize, you ask a lot of what questions. When you ask a lot of what question, you actually open up the mind. That is where exploratory mindset coming in. So in coaching, the same thing. We ask the question of what. We don't ask the question of how. How is when you want to solve the problem. When you are thinking of the ideas to solve the problem, then you use a question on how, H-O-W. When you want to explore, you use a question on what, W-H-A-T. Because you want to open up the mind, you want to expand the mind of your participants, of your respondents, to understand what problems are they facing. And when you go to define, you want to understand the why, the value proposition on solving this problem. Then you go to the how part. The idea is the third phase. How to solve this? So you think of the potential solution. You do the brainstorming exercise. You can use mind mapping, all right? You can run your agile board, right? To come up with ideas. You use the sticky notes, you go to the labs, you go to the wall, and you brainstorm ideas. You use the point system to select the best idea. After that, then you do the prototype. So during prototype, you actually build something ready for test. So after prototype, we go to test. What do we want to do here in test is we want to evaluate whether the ideas works. How do we know whether the idea works or not? We need to test it with the customers. So this is where it is a customer-centric approach. As you can see, the arrow is moving from empathize to define to ideate to prototype to test and back to empathize. Why it is back to empathize? Like what May share and some of participants share in the chat, right? It is for improvement. You want to collect the feedback from customers to improve for your next sprint. In Agile, we call sprint, right? So you want to improve in your next batch of prototype. So you may come up with new ideas. So later, I'll share with you a very simple tools to collect the feedback from your customers. Right. Thank you very much for the participation. Let's go next. Okay. Yep. Right. So yeah, this is basically the same thing. Now, I'm just doing with another representation of these 5 stages. So basically, I'm showing you, it looks like linear, but it's not linear because it is a loop that is going back. So this looks like an infinite loop, but you got to stop it somewhere. So it's like when you write program, if you're IT background, you have a break point, right? BREAK. So you have an exit criteria. So you set the exit criteria. What is the exit criteria in this case is when you read the customer value proposition, you know that is where you need to stop. All right, and you're ready to go to market. All right, and then from there you're going to improve in your second version, your third version is like what we have in our apps or mobile apps nowadays. So the whole thing is for the customer value proposition, is for the innovative solutioning because you need thinking. All right. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this is a tools that I would like to share with you. A simple tools called SBI, Situation Behavior Impact. And over here is very important. We need to understand that don't deduce. What do you mean by don't deduce? Means that you don't not judgmental. We don't have rebuttal in our mind when we ask questions. And you can see all these questions is about WHAT, 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 WHAT. It's about what? So in situation, what do you ask your customer? What is the context? What specific situation are we dealing with? In behavior, what are you observing? So what behavior being demonstrated by our customer? The observable behavior of our customers. Based on the task given, what are the actions, words, and feelings of your customers? So be careful here when you observe the behavior. It's not only the verbal cues, but also the non-verbal cues. The same things like what we did in coaching. We are observing the non-verbal cue as well. The body language, the facial expression, the energy, the assumption. These are the non-verbal cues on the behaviors. And impact is what impact to you, or what business impact to your customer, department, division, organization. So you're asking all the what questions because you want to expand the customer mind. You want to explore the situation. You want to explore the behavior. You want to explore the impact of your customers. All right. Now, next. Now, a deeper awareness and clarity questions. Over here, I have more questions for you to share with you. Now, this is non-exhaustive, right? But again, you can see it's all about the WHAT what, right? So ask clarification question. The same thing like what we share in coaching. We talk about clarification. We don't have judgmental mind. We don't have rebuttal in our head because we want to understand the other party, right? We practice active listening. So again, active listening. If you joined yesterday's sessions, active listening is one of the top 10 skill set by 2025 by World Economic Forum. Again, active listening. When you do active listening, we are not judgmental. We don't have rebuttal in our mind. We are not having our assumption. We don't have anything running in my mind saying that, oh, this should be done this way. That is how HOW. No, we are asking what. So what went well for this situation? What didn't go so well? What could you do differently? What is one thing that you can start doing? What is the one thing that you can stop doing? What are the things that you like to continue doing? The start, stop, continue. So it looks very simple, but when you ask this question, you actually trigger the thought process. So what is important over here, my friends, is to trigger the thought process, which is very important because design thinking is about thought process. It's a thought methodology. You want to evoke the awareness of the individuals to think. All right. Now, next. Now, I'm not going to go to every phase and share with you. I'm going to share with you some of the tools that you can take away from today's mini class in 1 hour session that you can apply directly in your working life. Right? That can bring a shift, a slight impact to you. Right? So this is a feedback capture matrix. When you go and do the testing, just now we talk about empathize, define, ideate, prototype, test, right? So when you go and test, right, you want to collect the feedbacks. So this is a 4-quadrant, very simple matrix. And I color it with different colors, as you can see here, right? So now, this is about values of your customers. So when you test with your customers, you solicit what customer likes about this prototype. Existing product that deliver values. Again, it's values to your customers. And the business impact, you must relate to business impact. Remember, desirability, feasibility, and viability. Now, what customer want to change? This is also being solicited or elicited during your testing stage. The feedback you capture during the testing. So this is those observable feedbacks you capture. And also the hidden insights. It can arise or ideas or clarification that can arise during the feedback gathering sessions. So you put it here in the bottom left quadrant. Question arise for existing prototype during testing. What are the questions arise? And these questions can trigger a new ideas when you go back to ideate stage. Remember, it is an infinite loop until you decide to stop when the customer value proposition is rigged. And the last quadrant, the bottom right quadrant, what you do here is what are the new ideas or insight emerge at the moment during your testing stage where you want to continuous to innovate, to improve your customer values and to delight your customer, give your customer satisfaction. So you segregate this feedback into these simple 4 quadrants. The top 2 quadrants the top left and top right corner is about existing prototypes, values to your customer. The bottom left and right quadrant is about clarification, ideas or new insight you solicit during the testing stage of design thinking. All right, again, I would like to pause for a while. Anybody have any insights that emerge at this moment? Please share with us. Let me stop sharing for a while. It's very scary if I keep on talking and I do not know what's going on in the room. Yeah, anybody have any insights? Yeah, we have 50s. Wow, 55 participants in this room. Let me see the chat, right? Yeah, Infinity, thanks a lot for this. Thank you very much. There's no boundary in generating ideas. Yes. Never-ending processes. It's for continuous improvement. Yes. Empathize first. True. It's empathize first. You need to empathize first, right? Yeah. Yes. Anyone have any insights to share? Are you all good with the flow so far? Let's do a simple emoticon. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Yeah. Okay, let me continue. Okay, all right. So let's go next. Okay, now this is also a very simple 3 questions I would like to share with you. This is after action review, normally called AR. What went well? What did not go so well? What could I do differently in the future? So this is for your team reflection. So if you definitely have a team when you do design thinking. You can do it on your own, but ideally there's a team, right? So during the reflection exercise, ask this question. Right? Sorry.
And that will be the reason that modernisers have written a very sharp and cute way, I think. A very sharp and cute way. And I suggest probably the driver in Malaysia will be very competitive energy prices for a very, very long time. A renewable transition will be inevitable at some point. It might not be today, but it will come.
I cannot mute. Sorry.
There's good pressure to make to those ends, the relative simplicity of the Malaysian energy market, I think, can make for faster, less complicated change.
Sorry for this.
Long-winded answer to your question. I hope that gets around.
Thanks, Dr. Ricardo. So basically, based on your exposure and experience, you might say, can you share with us?
I'm sorry for this.
Here in Southeast Asia, when it comes to EV, we're talking about the development in the countries around this region. So looking to become at least the regional leader in this space. So that would be the question. And what do you think the lesson learned that we should adopt in Malaysia in order to pursue the innovation in this sector?
All right, sorry for this. Yeah. You continue, sorry. I don't know why I cannot mute the participant just now. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Right. Yeah. So now, I also would like to share with you one. Okay. So yeah, we talk about this these 3 questions or after action review. Now, a simple 5 myth, right? Debunking the 5 myth in design thinking. So first of all, design thinking is only for creating new product. This is totally a myth. It is not meant for creating new products only, purely, right? You can apply design thinking even for process improvement. Right? We have processes where we have defined and crafted maybe 5 or 10 years ago. So as technology change and the market change, right? There's a need for us to revise our processes. So you can even apply design thinking, a very simple thought process for you to revisit your processes and how to optimize your process, right? To streamline process for customer value creation. Now, design thinking is a linear process. We know it is definitely wrong because as you we have discussed on the infinity diagram just now. It is a loop, right? It is an infinite loop until you decided to exit. When you reap the customer value proposition. Design thinking is only for IT. This is not right. It can apply for engineering. It can apply for finance. It can even apply for psychology. It is a thought process. It is not. It is not a process meant for IT. Purely designed for IT. Right? Does it require an innovation lab? You don't have to. You don't have to set up beautiful labs. You have to go into labs, have this environment in order to run design thinking. That is another myth. And last but not least, this is counterintuitive. Design thinking increases the risk of failure. On the contrary, design thinking actually reduces the risk of failure. Now, again, I would like to ask the questions. Why design thinking can reduce the risk of failure? Anybody want to unmute and share with me? I'll share with us, share with the participant in the room. Design thinking increase the risk of failure. This is counterintuitive. Anyone want to share any thoughts? Why design thinking can reduce the risk of failure? As you test it with the customers, right? You understand what need to be improved, what need to change, what are the new insights coming from customers, right? You deliver the values to customers. So that's why sometimes when we look at agile, we talk about agile. But do we really understand the value of agile? What is the value? What's the real value of agile? What is really being agile? Being agile means you need to understand your customer pain points. Being agile means you need to empathize your customer. Being agile means you need to deliver your customer needs. You really need to think on your customer's shoes. And then important C, the 3C, communicate. You need to communicate your customers. You cannot have your own judgment, not judgmental. You cannot have your own assumption. You need to do a lot of clarification. The C, another C, clarification. So a lot of communication need to be done. And when you start doing it, isn't that you are changing your mindset? You start to apply active listening. You start to not judgmental. You start to communicate. You start to apply empathetic listening skill to your customer. And due to your behavior shift, you reduce the risk of failure. You reduce the risk of failure. You will prepare for product market fit. Right? You will accelerate product market fit. Okay. All right. Let's go next. Okay, I'm going to run another poll again. This time there are another 2 questions I'm very interested to. I'm very curious to find out from you. Are you mentally prepared to solve these pain points using design thinking? After understanding a brief intro what design thinking is, would you be open if we guided and coach you in the entire journey to solve these pain points innovatively? Now, before I run this poll again, I would like to highlight this. Design thinking is not an easy process. I need to say it again. Design thinking is not an easy process. Design thinking is not an easy process. It is a painful process that you need to persevere, hard work, and determine during the journey. You need to constantly communicate with your customer. You need to think. You need to knock your head. You need to communicate with your team to come up with ideas that can solve your customer pain points. You need to be vulnerable. You need to admit that you are not perfect. We need to value differences of others, synergize their similarities in order to solve the customer problem. It is a mindset shift. Then only you can have the behavior shift. So you need to be vulnerable if you like to embark on design thinking journey. It's a sexy term, but it's actually just a thought process. In order to do this, you need to be vulnerable and ready to get your hands dirty to play this game. All right? Okay, with this, let me run another poll again. Go on. Now, by the way, if you have questions, please put in the chat. You can unmute, you can ask questions. A bit scary here. Yep. Yeah, so there are 5 questions now, especially the last 2. Let's see. Let's see whether there's any difference between the pre and the post. I hope I'm not frightening you away. But I'm very honored to share with you this is what's going to go through. It's a journey of challenges that we need to face. We need to put in our hard work, diligence to go through the hurdles. Okay, thank you for those who have completed. We have 15 still in progress, 7 have 8 completed. Thank you for the feedback. 57%, 20 over not yet started. Please participate if you can. It's just yes and no, yes and no, yes and no. Very simple, 5 questions. Let's see whether there's any difference between pre and the post before I continue. Thanks for participation. I'm going to close the polling now. Yeah, by the way, please feel free to post any question here in the chat. Okay, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. There you go. Okay, let's take a look at the result here. So do you see any difference? Okay, let me, yeah. So we still have 41% slightly shift. Say yes. Yeah, you can see a shift here. It's dropping on the yes for second question as well. Third as well. I'm very curious to look at the last 2 questions. Wow, interesting. Are you mentally prepared to solve these pain points? 39% of you say yes. Would you be open if we guided you? 39% say yes, 20 out of the 51. Wow, I'm excited. I am very excited to engage with these 20 participants. All right. Okay, let me continue share the learning before we go to the Q&A session. Okay. All right, so I think this is my second last slide. Yeah. Again, this is about psychological safety environment as the enabler. So what I'm showing here is, as you can see, you know what is apathy zone? Apathy means there's a low morale. People don't care. This is the zone of don't care. They couldn't care less attitude. Now, we definitely don't want to end here. Low accountability, low psychological safety environment. That is where it ended with apathy zone, right? Low psychological safety environment, high accountability is anxiety zone. We don't want. We want high accountability and high psychological safety environment, which is achievement zone, right? Okay, now what I want to anchor here is this word. This is a Mandarin word called, in Japanese called sushin. English is beginner's mindset. And Mandarin called choosing. So this is beginner mindset. What's beginner mindset? So this from a Japanese, Suju Suzuki says, in the beginner's mind, there are many possibilities. In the expert mind, there are few. So what I want to share with you here is, if you have the beginner's mindset, it's like, just imagine when you recall your childhood time, you have this curiosity. You are curious to find out things, right? That is the beginner's mindset. You have abundance of possibilities in front of you. You don't limit your choices. That is where divergent thinking is, my friends. It's about possibilities. It's about expanding our mind to a wider horizon. But if you yourself say, I'm already an expert, then there are limited choice, limited possibilities to move forward. That's why, again, back to coaching, we say you want to expand individual's mind to many possibilities. First thing first is we need to lower down our ego. Second thing is we need to admit that we have shortcomings. We are vulnerable for our lesson learned because we want to improve, we want to move forward. All right. So it is very important as a leader in the organization, if you want to spur design thinking, what is the enabler? It is a psychological safety environment for your people to practice innovation, to practice, to experiment new things, to practice design thinking, to spur ideas. That's the message, right? Okay, now, mindset unplug and shift, unlearn and relearn, active listening and not judgmental. Again, focus on customer centricity. One of the core values of Tenaga Nasional Berhad, collaboration, collaborative, and being agile. Really understand what is agile. And last but not least, I want to say education is the key. It's about education, right? Ladies and gentlemen, I want to end my sharing here with Stephen Covey quotes. Stephen Covey says, efficiency with people is ineffective. With people, fast is slow and slow is fast. Thank you very much. Yeah, so we still have time. Yeah, I open for questions and answer. If not, I can show you some videos, interesting videos for entertainment. Yeah, anybody want to unmute and ask question? Come on, or in the chat. Do you have anything in chat? Let me see. Oh, we have 51 here. Okay, we have Cik Budi. I think Cik Budi from Indonesia, right? Thank you for this question. According to your experience, what part of design thinking that must be prepared well by the company to make better result? Okay. So I think, Cik Budi, you are asking which stage of design thinking is important, right? Out of the 5 stages, empathize, define, idea, prototype, and test, which is heavyweight, right? Which is a higher weight. Now, I will say empathize and define. I used to share a diagram when I share design thinking webinar. I purposely create 5 bubbles, 5 circles, and I enlarge the circle, empathize and define. Because you really need to focus over there to understand your customer well, understand what's the problem. And you need to validate the customer problem. In innovation, you really need to understand the customer pain points. What is the values of solving this problem, solving their pain points? That carry a much heavier weightage. It's like in IT, when you do requirement analysis, it always starts with requirement. If you do not understand the requirement well and you go in and do it, that is what Kavi say. Slow is fast and fast is slow. Because this is people. It is not a machine. You really need to understand people's. And when you want to understand people's minds, people will not share with you if you do not build rapport with them. People will not willingly to share with you their insights if they don't trust you. You don't build the connection. That's why that part of empathize play a vital role in design thinking process. I hope I answer your question, Cik Budi. Would you like to unmute and share with me your thoughts? Aina say, should we apply design thinking first on the project team? Correct. Team for project will significantly improve a project success. I don't really get, Aina, what do you mean by should we apply design thinking first on project team? Maybe Aina, you want to clarify this? Aina, are you here? Hi, Aina. I'm trying to interpret. Again, I don't want to be judgmental. Are you saying that
Sorry, I'm not sure how to unmute just now.
Oh,
Okay.
okay, hey, Aina. Hi.
Yeah,
Hi. Thanks.
I think this design thinking concept has been in the market for quite some time, and I think a lot of
Exactly.
people already have an understanding how to come up with the design for the products. But sometimes when you go to the implementation, it is very hard for the team member to actually execute the plan, even though they already come up with a good design thinking model. So that's why I'm asking that question. Is it more first before you actually do the a product or you assign the project, you should actually measure what is the capability of the team that is running the project, whether they are capable to implement the project to a success. So that is the question. Because you
Uh,
mentioned that design thinking is not solely on product, it could be on your process or on the team. So how does that is
yeah.
implemented? Yeah. So yeah.
Thanks, Aina. Yeah.
Mm.
Again, I'm trying to interpret because by the short sharing by you, clarification by you, I think you're having a prompt where you have done design thinking at very beginning, right? Understand customer pain points and come with define the right problem to solve, and then you come with the idea, and now you want to go implementation, right? So most of the time we actually, just to share with you, maybe we try to skip the process of prototyping and test and go back to empathize again. Remember the infinite, right? The infinity diagram, right? So we used to do like linear. It's a linear. Remember the myth, right? The five myth debunk the top five myth, right? If you do it in the linear process, then you actually miss the part of validation. When you miss the part of validation, it could end up with the team is not aligned with the common values of customers that we are delivering to the customers. So there this energy in the room in your team that is not synchronized with each other. So when that happens, then you have challenges during implementation. So that's why if you really look at design thinking, it is a sprint. It is an infinite loop. It's a loop that will go back again and again. You really need to communicate with customer and get their feedback. That's why it is a painful process.
Actually,
I
I
use the word.
understand
Yeah.
where you're coming from, because if you're an organization,
Yeah.
you have the flexibility to make the decision on your own. It's easy to decide for you to implement the product because you can see the value coming in at the end of the
Yeah.
day. But for example, if you are designing a product in perspective of, for example, a utility, because they have other consideration like policies, or maybe they are a different plan by the management that they whether this can be implemented uh, directly or currently, or you have to wait for a certain policy to be implemented before you can actually give to the customer. So sometimes it seems to be like a good product, but it may not be executable at the current moment. So that's what I'm trying to get. Yeah.
Yeah, that
Uh,
Anna, this
so
is
that,
a very context
yeah.
specific because it, it is your stakeholder. It relates to your stakeholder
Mm-mm.
engagement and your stakeholder interest, right? So your stakeholder have
Yeah.
different interests. So again, if I were to answer, I will say in a simplified manner. I guess
Because
it's a
actually I joined a few sessions where they do this design thinking. And
yeah,
also recently I joined there's a program by Magic. They do this startup design thinking. So these people, they are actually young people. They pitch their idea to get fund, just like a very small fund
yeah,
to actually do some business on their startup ideas. So it's
yeah,
very agile, you know. They can just, okay, I pitch this idea, and if the funders see that, okay, it looks quite there's a value in it, so eventually they go for funding. So it's very straightforward. But if you were to implement this type of program in a big organization, it may not take flight, you know,
yeah,
because yeah, because it's not a simple business decision. You also have to consider what is the impact on the overall organization? Is it aligned with the yearly budget? So yeah, that's the
Yeah,
that's the yeah.
that's a
So
challenge, China. I know.
that's the challenge, yeah.
Yeah,
So how do you actually there's two consideration. Maybe if you are a small startup company, it's easy to make a straightforward decision. But if you're a big organization, what should be there? What is the type of environment or maybe the facilities that you need in order to allow allow a certain degree of innovation, uh, or maybe deviation from your existing role, so that you can explore into innovation in the technology, because mostly this new design thinking is in current days is all about the new technology, right? So how much space is given for you to expand in this area? Yeah,
yeah,
that's
yeah.
the consideration.
Yeah,
Okay.
thanks, Anna. Thanks, Anna, for sharing. Yeah, I think I can empathize what you are going through. Right. I think the first point is about the risk appetite, and the second point is about, again, the thought, the mindset, the customer centricity mindset. If we are struggling between our own values versus delivering customer values, then you have that challenge. If you really think to deliver for the customers, then it's a shift in your paradigm. It's a shift in the mindset. Then things will be carried out differently, and you may get a different result. Again, it is a see, do, get cycle in Stephen Covey, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. So it is the values, it's also the thoughts of your major stakeholders. What are they focusing on? Are they really focusing on customer values or our own values? Why we used to relate design thinking with startups? Because startups is hunger for survival. And they know in order to survive, they got to deliver customer values, because the customers are their bargaining chips. The more customer they get before they go to IPO, these are the chips for them to go to IPO to get listed. And they know they must delight customer. Even a single feedback, negative feedback from their customer, they will address it. They will not take it lightly. And in a big organization, sometimes there's certain challenges, right? So that's why we used to see this design thinking applicable for startup, for IT companies, for tech companies, but it's not true. What I would like to share with you all is not true. So that's why the whole learning in this mini class, what I want to anchor is actually the paradigm shift. Again, back to Albert Einstein, to Covey, is paradigm shift is to understand that design thinking is not easy. It's also to understand slow is fast and fast is slow. If you really focus on customer centricity and customer values, then we really need to be vulnerable and deliver what customer value is. If you do not do that, then actually design thinking will definitely fail in your practice. That's what I can share from me. Hopefully, it resonates with you. Yeah, anybody else? Yeah, I so far asked how do you relate to with zero-based design. I choose not to comment on this question because I don't really understand the zero-based design. ZBD, I know. Yeah, I just want to share with design thinking. It is an iterative process to deliver customer values. Now, remember the story of startups. They are hunger for survival, right? They need to think one thing. They need to focus. It's like imagine there's a dart board in front of you. You want to hit the bull eye, right? The red middle dots. You want to have a laser focus. Your laser focus is only one thing: customer values. Nothing more else. It's customer value. The whole team, everybody is thinking to deliver customer value. Then design thinking will potentially give you a success rate to accelerate your process of delivering customer values, to optimize your cost, to save your time, to save your cost, to save your resources, to save the rework costs, especially rework costs, because you actually spend more on the rework, on the variation order, the VO, or on the change request, the CR. So you want to avoid that, right? So if you want to avoid that, that's why we say slow is fast and fast is slow. And again, this is not what I say, this is what Stephen Covey says, right? Yeah. Thank you very much. Anybody else have any thoughts that you would like to share with us? I believe maybe some of you actually very experienced in design thinking, and you are here in this mini class. Please feel free to share again. I want to anchor on beginner's mindset, right? Everybody here is to learn, right? I'm not perfect, obviously, right? I'm still learning. There's a lot of things. It is lesson learned. So when you are vulnerable and you learn from what you have done before, then you will think, what could I do differently next time? Again, the after action review. What went well? What didn't go so well? And what could I do differently to improve when this thing recur again? Right? It's a very simple 3 reflective questions that we ask ourselves, and we ask our team as well. Yep. Oh, a bit scary. When I conduct my session mini class, yesterday was maybe because I'm moderator. Anyone else? If not, then we call it for a day. I thank you very much for joining this session. Okay, hold on before you leave, sorry. Yeah, I'm very interested for the 20 participants as well. And let me post a Google form now in this chat. I appreciate you share with me your feedback. Only 3 questions in the Google form. I just put it in the chat before you leave. Yeah, please share with me. So I have 3 questions. I have 3 questions in the Google form. Very simple one, right? First of all, I would like to understand your learning experience on this session. It's very simple, introductory session of design thinking. Maybe you are expert level, then you say, "Wow, this is too elementary for me." What is your takeaway from this session? And the third one is please share your email address with us if you're open to do a pre-assessment or design thinking. However, you are required to share your urgent burning pain point for customers, as well as company aspiration and vision, right? So because with these two are very important for us to do an assessment. So yeah, right. So yeah, thank you very much. Thank you, Sima. Thank you, Puna. Thank you very much. Yeah, share with us. Thank you very much. Thanks a lot, everyone. Thank you very much for joining me, and I wish you all the best. Stay safe, stay healthy. Keep in touch. Enjoy the rest of the learning session for tomorrow. Right. Stay healthy, stay safe. Goodbye.